Are you dreading the holidays because you know you're going to be spending time in that toxic family environment or with toxic friends? Don't worry, I've got you covered, because in this video I'm going to be showing you how you can survive the family holiday and maybe even enjoy yourself despite those toxic people. Hi YouTubers, happy Wednesday. I'm Emma Jane, your life coach on the couch, coming to you from Reroute Your Life. And in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to survive the family holidays when you have a toxic family. And it can be the worst, right? You know, the traditional family row to the full-blown toxic family experience can leave you feeling drained like a wet dish rag after the holidays. But it doesn't have to be like this. And in this video, I've got my top tips on how you can survive the family holiday with a toxic family and maybe even enjoy yourself too. My first tip for surviving the toxic family's holiday is leave your expectations behind. Now, expectations can really limit our experience. You might have been hoping that after years of your family not understanding you or bullying you, whatever it is they do to give a toxic experience, you might be hoping that this year, suddenly, it's going to be fixed. The likelihood it isn't. So leave that expectation behind and try and keep an open mind as to what's going to happen when you walk through that door. So tip number 2 is basically plan. Pre-plan how you're going to experience the family holiday. So what I want you to do is to ask yourself the following questions and see if you can work out beforehand how you're going to respond to situations. So the first thing is you need to look at what was the experience like last year. What happened? What was good? What was bad? The next question is what triggers? What were the triggers that set off a bad emotional response or made you feel abused or traumatized through that experience, or just basically left you not feeling happy? The next question is a little bit harder. Well, depends on what happened. Who was the person that was the hardest to deal with last year? Who was the person that you really had a bad experience with? Then ask yourself, how could you have handled that experience differently? What could you have done to have a different result? Then I want you to have a think about this year. I want you to have a think about who is the person that you really don't want to see. And of course, this can be more than one person, but have a think, who is it that I don't want to see? Why do they trigger me? And how can I respond differently? Even if that means that you need to set up a buffer around you so you don't have to interact with this person regularly during the course of the evening or the day that you're spending with your family. So who's that person you don't want to see? How do they trigger you? And how could you respond differently so it's not a bad experience? Number 3, change your mindset. Now, I want you to think about that person that you really don't want to see at the family holiday experience. There's going to be somebody, there might be more than one, but can you fix that person in your mind? Maybe say their name out loud if you're on your own. Have a think about who it is and why it is that they bug you so much, or why it is they get to you. You got it clearly in your mind? Great. Now I want you to think about, to reverse that thinking and think about, why do I respect them? There's going to be something good in their personality. There is going to be something that you can respect. You might not like, but you can respect it. And that's what I want you to focus on when you see this person at the family holiday gathering. Focus on what it is you respect about them, not what it is that annoys you about them. Tip number 4 is find your ally. There is going to be somebody you really want to see at this family holiday gathering. There's going to be somebody that you get on with, and this person is your ally. Now, what I would recommend is actually contacting that person beforehand. And I don't mean pre-planning or how are we going to stick together, how are we going to survive. Just contact them, start a conversation with them, because then when you come to the family holiday gathering, you're going to be able to continue that conversation with them. And at the same time, I would try and make sure that you're going to sit with that person or have conversations more with that person than the toxic people in your family. So find your ally, start a conversation, and stick with them through the family holiday gathering. Tip number 5, lighten it up. Now, laughter, we all know, is the best medicine for anything, and you're possibly not the only person that's having the toxic family experience at the holiday gathering as well. So find something fun to do, whether it's playing a game, watching a movie. If people have an activity, then they're not going to go so much into the small talk, which can lead to toxic conversations. So have fun, do something that's going to make you laugh, going to make the whole family laugh, and try and enjoy yourself that way. Tip number 6 is something called the grey rock method, and this is brilliant for helping you get through conversations that can be a minefield or an emotional minefield. Because when you get so many people together, you're not going to all have the same opinions and you're going to clash, right? So the grey rock method is basically turning the conversation around. So for example, if you're having a conversation with somebody and you really disagree with their opinion, rather than going on the offensive or the defensive in the conversation, then just say something like, well, that's one way of looking at it, and then turn the conversation around. Ask them a question about themselves. People love to talk about themselves. Change the subject. It's really, really simple way of giving a positive vibe to the conversation rather than going down the negative route. So you can use the, well, that's one way of looking at it response, but remember to change it with a positive conversation change afterwards. Tip number 7 is try and find something in common with people. Now, just because they're blood relatives or they've married into the family, it doesn't mean that you always have something in common with them. You may in fact be spending your holiday with your in-laws that you have nothing in common with. But everybody does have something that is kind of the same about their lives. So I use this as a game. Try and find something in common with the people that you're spending time with, something that you can talk about that is nice, that is neutral, and makes a happy conversation. Tip number 8 is simply try to understand. It would be great if everybody in your family really got you, but try to understand them more than forcing them to understand you. Show them how you would like them to treat you by doing it yourself. Be the change you want to see, right? And you never know, if you're showing some empathy, if you're showing interest in them and what they think, then maybe they'll start to do the same thing for you. Tip number 9, and this one's really important, don't engage, take a break. There may be that the conversation is escalating, you can feel the situation starting to get to a row. And at this point, don't add fuel to the fire, don't engage. This is the point where you need to take a break. And I don't mean you need to run away and spend the whole of the holidays hiding in the toilet, but you can do little things. One of the great things I found in a British family is saying, who would like a cup of tea? And then I would go to the kitchen and make a cup of tea. You can go for a walk, you can excuse yourself and go out the room for 5 minutes, go and have a read for 5 minutes, go and help with the washing up. There's lots to do when the family is visiting. So don't engage, take a break. Tip number 10 is take care of yourself after the family gathering, because it is going to be a challenge. These tools are going to help make it better, but of course you're going to be on the whole time and that's draining for your energy levels. So after the gathering, give yourself some TLC and make sure that's positive TLC. I don't mean grabbing the nearest bottle of wine. You know, do something good for yourself. Do something where you're taking care of yourself and you're showing yourself a little self-love. So those are my top 10 tips, but what if you're looking at these and thinking, I've tried that and it just doesn't work? Well, then you may be suffering from a really, really toxic family or toxic people that you have to spend time with this holidays. And here, there's one really important question you have to ask yourself. Do you really need to go? Really? Is your life depending on it? Do you have to go and spend time with these toxic people over the holidays? It's a bit of tough love, and yes, of course, you're going to feel guilty if you don't go and spend time with them, but that might actually be better for you than living through that toxic experience. The other thing you can do if you know you simply cannot survive the holiday with the family that's toxic is to organize doing it differently. So maybe you organize to go and see people individually for short amounts of time rather than seeing them all together. Or you could invite them all to come out to a restaurant or to a Christmas market or something like that. Something where you're out in public, less opportunities for rows, where you're doing something together that has a limited amount of time and you all go home separately afterwards, so you get to retreat to a safe place. So if your family really is that toxic, ask yourself, do I really need to go, or can I do this differently? So that's my top 10 ways of how you can survive the family holiday with a toxic family. I hope you find this useful, and if you do, please let me know in the comments below. And this was a video that was requested by one of our Reroute Your Life community on Facebook, which of course you're welcome to join. And if you have an idea for a video that you would like us to create to give you some advice or inspiration, then please let us know in the comments below. And if you want to find out more advice about spending the holidays with a toxic family, come over to the Reroute Your Life Facebook page, where there's articles all week about this subject, so you can find lots more inspiration of how you can enjoy the holidays with a toxic family. I hope you have a great time. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell so you get notified every Wednesday when we bring out a new video. And until then, remember, enjoy the journey.